Labor has pledged to recognise the state of Palestine, declaring it will be a priority if the party wins at the next election. On the last day of the Labor National Conference, the party focused on bolstering foreign policy by ramping up its rhetoric on human rights violations in China, but stopping short of branding the treatment of the Uyghurs as genocide, at the insistence of opposition Foreign Affairs spokeswoman Penny Wong. Joining me now is former ALP President Warren Mundine. Warren, so good to talk to you. What's your take on this motion, and what does it say about the Labor Party?
Look, it just shows how disastrous their foreign policy would be. It totally ignores a number of things. One is the peace process moving forward quickly in the last 12 months of the Trump administration, where you've got a number of Arab and Muslim states signing up with Israel. They're completely ignoring a couple of things. One is, what is the state of Israel? You've got the Palestinian Authority in the West Bank, and then you've got Hamas on the Gaza Strip, and they're virtually at war with each other. And then you've got to put into place that Hamas is aligned with the mullahs of Iran, who is the biggest exporter of terrorism in the Middle East and globally. And so what's the ALP going to do? They're going to recognise this?
It seems like a mad call by me, and some on the right of the party are certainly against the motion. Do you think this decision has the potential to create party divisions?
Well, there's no doubt about that. There are a number of issues that are causing division within the Labor Party, and we saw that with Joel Fitzgibbon's battle over coal and the energy policies within the party. The fact of the matter is ALP doesn't win government and hasn't won government since post the Second World War without having a strong right wing, which has been able to put, the Hawke Keating in government in power, was able to put the Kevin Rudd government in power in 2007. And you're seeing how the right wing of the Labor Party is struggling here in New South Wales, and the huge amount of problems that are happening here. In fact, if we have an election tomorrow morning, the Labor Party will be almost wiped off the map. And so there are huge divisions over this. I just find it bizarre that the ALP would go out of its way to recognise the state of Palestine. And as I point out, what is the state of Palestine? If you go over there, you've got two huge factions fighting amongst itself. It hasn't held an election for its parliament or its presidency in over a decade, and so
yes.
It's just totally bizarre that they would come up with this idiotic, disastrous policy.
It is. It's very Jeremy Corbyn-like, isn't it? And that didn't work out too well. You would think they would learn from the mistakes made by UK Labor instead of repeating them, Warren. What's going on there? There does seem to be a fairly bizarre decision. But moving on to China, they did make a point of pointing out human rights violations, but they stopped short of calling China's treatment of the Uyghurs genocide, something the US has done, something that many countries have done, because it fits the definition of genocide. So why are Labor hesitant to do that?
Look, it goes back to the left wing of the Labor Party again. That they've got to admit the bleeding obvious, and that there is a total human rights abuse going on in the Uyghur community of China, and also within Tibet and a number of other minorities across China. And now you have, and so they just couldn't ignore that. But at the same time, they can't go to what the real issue is here, and that is the CCP, who are actually running concentration camps and what they call re-education camps, which is just destructive and is almost you can't walk away from that. It is a genocide in effect, that they're trying to destroy the Uyghur culture. They're trying to oppress the Muslim minority in China, and they're doing it in the most destructive and horrendous way.
So just to sum up, seeing what's happened with the federal conference, where do you think Labor stands? What are their chances at the next federal election? And will Albo be leading them at that election?
Well, look, I think after the last few weeks of the federal government struggling, I reckon they're gaining a lifeline. This is the sort of the foreign policy that they're putting out there is completely going to put us into a minority sort of process. Look, this is one thing you've got to give the Morrison government. The Morrison government has been fantastic on the international stage. They were able to take on China, and despite China attacking us about the COVID-19 inquiry, we were able to get about 160 countries around the globe to sign up to that, and then China couldn't ignore it and they had to fall in line. Yes, they're playing fun and games with WHO, but the World Health Organization, but he was able to do that. He was able to get Matthias Cormann, despite the best efforts of a former Prime Minister and two former Prime Ministers trying to stop him from getting Matthias Cormann as head of the OECD. So we're punching a bunch above our weight in the foreign affairs area. Labor is really talking about rhetoric that goes right back to the Whitlam government of the 1970s. And they're just so out of touch. It is not funny. It's going to remind the Australian community out there that this is an alternative government that you cannot trust. They have crazy lunatic policies in these areas, and they're just going to cause nothing but destruction to the Australian economy and to our standing in the global community.
Warren Mundine, thank you for your time.
Thank you.